I'm Toby.
I'm Kirsten.
I'm Sophia.
What's your name?
Sienna.
Sienna, and we're the
Coombe
family. Sienna had her first seizure a little after turning 8 months old. We had just relocated back to the Bay Area to be closer to family and friends, and my parents were watching her that day since Toby and I were still working. And my dad called me, and I picked up the phone, and I could immediately hear the panic in his voice that something wasn't right. When we got there, the firefighters and paramedics were already there, and she was okay. They had recommended that we go to the hospital just to check her out. They weren't quite sure what had gone on since it had stopped prior to them getting there. I'll never forget the words of the emergency room doctor. He said, it was most likely a febrile seizure caused by a fever, and you get one for free. And I wish I could see him again to go back and tell him, he was so wrong and our lives would truly never be the same. We got out of the hospital that night. We came home. The next day, we watched her like a hawk, and the day went normal. She was fine until that night. She was playing in her playset, and Toby noticed she was slunched over. She was in a full tonic-clonic seizure. Not responsive. We didn't know what to do. We had never witnessed a seizure ourselves. So immediately we called 911. That seizure lasted over 30 minutes that night and started our journey to where we are today. They did every test they could to see why she had a seizure. She had an EEG done, she had an MRI, she had a spinal tap, she had blood work done, was put under sedation, really to figure out what was going on. And John Muir had brought in a neurologist from Stanford. We're thankful at the time she recommended genetic testing. We got out of the hospital a few days later. Really, we thought that our lives were going to go back to normal, that we were just checking a box to do this test, and, that nothing more serious was wrong. And unfortunately, we were wrong.
We did get the results of the genetic testing back, and the neurologist reviewed the results with us and came back with a 95% diagnosis for Dravet. I think at that time, everything kind of sunk for us and reality set in, and it was probably the hardest news that we've ever had to get.
Just a few weeks later, she had another seizure that would last 45 minutes, even with rescue medications. And really, from that point on, we have been on this roller coaster of Dravet.
Yep.
We were in this period of every 21 to 30 days having a major seizure and needing rescue meds, and adding medication and making modifications and doing blood work and just trying to figure out what the best solution was for Sienna, because every child with Dravet is so different. They all take a different mixture of medications, and some work better for others. We're still in that journey, over 2 years into it, 2.5 years, where we're still trying to find what we think is the best mix for now for her, to keep her as seizure-free as possible. I don't think anything will ever prepare you for lights and sirens on, a seizure not stopping. Thankfully we're 2 to 3 minutes away from John Muir Hospital, but the second you enter the hospital and the ER, you have 20 to 25 people waiting for you, doctors and specialists, physicians, pharmacists, ready to take your child and work on them. And that night specifically is probably one of the worst nights in my life. You're sitting on the outside looking in, watching them work on your child's lifeless body. And the attending doctor that night had just helped Sienna 6 weeks before, when they had intubated her. And they said, we really don't want to intubate her unless it's absolutely necessary, because that comes with a whole nother, world of potential complications. And literally seconds after she said that, I could feel the energy in the room change and shift. And I saw Sienna's oxygen, and it started plummeting. It started going down, and it's like this countdown, and you're sitting there wondering, is this it? Is my child about to die right in front of me? And, thankfully they were able to get her stabilized. And, a couple hours later, we were packed back in the ambulance and headed out to UCSF, where we spent quite a few days.
Seeing that and going through it, you feel just utter helplessness. You feel so not in control of your life, of your child's life, of anything that's going on.
All you want to do is take this away from your child, and we can't. And I know in my heart we are giving her the absolute best that we can. She sees the best neurologist. She, has speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy. We give her everything we can, but at the end of the day, my biggest fear is like, what if it's not enough, and what if we can't save her? Our biggest fear is SUDEP, which is sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. In the community, it has an occurrence of 15 to 20%. And I just can't imagine a life without Sienna. I can't imagine our family without her. It's a fear that we live with every single day. Will something happen and this is our last? And, I can't imagine it. She's such a light in all of our lives that I don't know how we would continue on without her.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so many families in our community have experienced that. But with that being said, there's hope on the horizon. There's so many more medications with the support of the Dravet Syndrome Foundation, that have been pushed along through the FDA clinical trials for gene therapy. There's another one that's very exciting getting started, and that's what gives us hope. That is what fills our bucket, to know that hope and potentially a cure is on the horizon. And we hope one day in our lifetime, in Sienna's lifetime, we experience that. Sienna is a light. She was truly born to be a star. She doesn't meet a stranger. She's the first one to run up and give you a hug. She is just a ball of energy, and we say as crazy and wild as the curls on her head. She's just an amazing spirit, and I truly feel like she was put on this earth for a purpose, and to teach us all a lesson. And she constantly keeps us on our toes. She's fiercely independent, but the biggest lover girl around, and people are just captivated by her. They just love her energy and presence, and she's resilient. After sometimes major hospital stays or big seizures, she's ready to go. She's ready to rock and roll and run around and play. And a lot of times I call it the hangover that I experience as a parent, or we do, where you're just in this slump, but you look at this little ball of energy and this joy, and it gives us strength to pick up and just keep on rolling, because that's what she does. Everybody should live their life a little bit like Sienna.
Yeah, she doesn't know that there's anything wrong, and she is just so incredibly happy all the time.
I just hope that Sienna can just feel better right away. She just gets to be like a normal kid, like me.
What I wish for her is just to be as happy as she can be for as long as she can be, to keep her not knowing that she's different than anybody else.
That's a great point.
I just want her to experience everything that she can and that we can provide to her, because she deserves it. We just want to thank everyone so much for coming out tonight and supporting our family and the Dravet Syndrome Foundation. It means so much for us. Your love and support and donations, we know, are making such an impact in the community and for our children. So thank you so much. We appreciate you and we love you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Say I love you.
I
I love you.
Thank you all.